All right, everybody, welcome back live at Drew's house. Another edition. Hope everybody is doing well here as we race through. It suddenly became football season. How about that? It's mid-September, and here we are. And with that, I bring in one of my favorite football guests. He's ready to go. Levin Reid joins us. Lev, first time on the show. What an honor. How are you, sir?
I'm fine. You've been doing this show for a long time, and it's just funny how you've never had me, but now you give me a call. You want me to be on the show. I'm not saying I'm a little bit upset about it. I'm flattered to be on the show now, but what's going on? Like, why did it take so long?
I understand. I get a lot of this. You know Jeff Brown, our old anchor friend
Yes.
for the mornings, and I work with him every day. I see him every day. He was so bitter that it took me like 2.5 years to get to him. That he almost declined when I asked him to come on. So it was pretty. It can get ugly.
I'm just saying that if this wasn't Zoom and it was a phone call, I would hang up, but I don't want people to think that I'm that bitter. So it's Zoom. So, and I understand this is a good possibility that this is our venue now, our vehicle of talking to people. So I have to actually look and be in a good mood. So I'm in a good mood.
That's beautiful. Well, for those of you who don't know, Levin does the sports for WBZ TV. How could you not know? He's a big personality on a big station. He covers the Patriots. I see you doing some Revolution coverage.
Yeah.
You're a man who can do it all. I'll start off with that. How's life? How's work life? How's everything?
It's been great, and I can't complain about everything they're having me do. Like getting the Revolution was a godsend because the station picked up the Revolution and they said, "Hey, can you help anchor our coverage on the Revolution?" And the Revolution are fantastic, and they're the best team in town right now. They have the best record in MLS. They're great to cover. They were one of the first groups that when we got a chance to cover them, they were like, "We'd rather do it in person rather than Zoom," and that was fantastic. We're talking they're doing that in like May, where nobody was doing that. And as long as we were 6 feet apart and everybody was vaccinated, we were all good to go. And I apparently I was with them every day. And then to move right into the Patriots, they pretty much have the same address. So like I can, the Revolution I'm doing from 10 to 11:30 to 12, move over to the Patriots for the afternoon, full day at Gillette Stadium. I'm covering as much thing as I want to. And everybody's like, "Oh my God, you're doing so much." I'm like, yeah, I'm walking from one side of the building to the other, basically. That's what I'm doing.
Well, I told you when we were booking this interview that you have that ability to make my wife and I laugh quite a bit when we're. You're a funny guy, and it comes across on the air, which I know I'm not the first person to tell you that, but
Sure.
But I do. I always like people to know about like the behind. I think people are always wondering. They like to gossip. Like, is that person like really a good person, or they're jackets? And I always say you were one of those people in the newsroom, and of course back in the day, radio all on one side, TV on the other side. And as soon as you would walk into a newsroom, you could feel it uplifted. It's just that nice big personality that made the place better. You might know it from your own office out there, folks, but I always loved that about you.
Thank you very much. And I will say this, like I was always taught that you should try and come into a room and uplift everybody, like you just mentioned, and try to have a good time because, it's work, but we should try to make it somewhat fun for some of the time. And I enjoy what I do, and I hope that comes across. And at the same time, I can be funny, but I'm funny looking as well. So, so that kind of helps in the process. I don't take myself too seriously. I just try to give the news the way it's done. And at the same time, I want people to be able to watch and enjoy it. And I've been lucky enough that people take it that way. There's some places where they would want me to be more serious, and it's hard for me to be serious if the story's not serious, or to make up a story that's serious. I'd rather just follow the line, and if there's a chance for me to be funny with it and have a good time with it, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, if it's just sports, it's just sports, right?
Exactly. And you've been there where they're like, "Well, can you change it a little bit?" And I'm like, "Well, no, because then I'd be fabricating the story." So it just has to stay the way it is.
How did you get into the business?
I will say this, like, and a lot of people will know this because I've told them this. Like, I was a young kid and I used to watch Carol Burnett, and I thought Carol Burnett was brilliant. I thought going on stage and doing a show that was unscripted and trying to make the other cast members laugh, like Tim Conway or Harvey Korman, I thought that was some of the greatest shows I've ever seen. So I started watching that, and I was able to, my voice changed at a young age. I was able to do radio, but I always wanted to do television. And as I got into doing more television, I was doing a current affair when I was a young kid, just on the back end of producing some of those shows in intern life, and I was helping out in TRL and doing different things. And when I got the chance to do sports, it was one of those things where I was, I put in a tape to do sports. I got to the Fox National Report. and I had never done television ever. I just put in a tape to do it, and I remember getting and I'm doing live shots, and I was effing awful. It's just so bad. But like, when you do these shows, you end up doing like 25 hits a day. So by the end of my 100th hit, I was still pretty bad, but I wasn't as bad as when I first started. And then after a while, you just kind of find a groove of what you like to do, and that's how the story starts. And I tell people all the time, like when I have interns or anything, they're like, "What?" If I said, "If you want to be on TV," they're like, "What's the best thing to do?" I'm like, "Go find a karaoke bar and sing in it." And they're like, "Why?" Because you're reading a prompter. So get a song that you find that you're comfortable with, and singing it to a bunch of people. You're not going to be able to see them, so it's just like being on television, but you're reading a prompter, and that's how you read a prompter when you're at the karaoke bar.
I had not heard that little trick. That's
Yeah, yeah. I tell them all the time. Just go. So any script you're comfortable with would be a song you're comfortable with. Go to the karaoke bar and sing it, belt it out, and and I always say, like, when you think you're being you're on the edge, you're not close. And they're like, "What's your go-to song?" I'm like, "Genie in a Bottle." How can it not be my go-to song?
That was going to be my next question. I'm trying to think in my mind what it might be, and that would not have been the guess. That's
Yeah, Genie in a Bottle is my go-to song. When you think you're being on the edge, go to the song that you would push you over the top, and that's how I do it.
Do you want to give us a little sample, or are you good with that?
I'm good with that. I don't want. Listen, if I did that, then all of a sudden I'd have to come on every week, and what would happen to the guests that you're ignoring from the whole time period after that?
And Christina Aguilera does get jealous. I've heard of your
yeah, it's on. When I'm going, she's like, "Oh no," So yes,
fabulous. So how's the let's talk a little Patriots, because I just saw their running back coach apparently still not over. I don't even know who the running backs coach.
Ivan Fears. Yeah,
still not over Sunday. I believe his quote is, "We threw the damn game away," or fumbled the damn game away, which they did. I know it's week one, but I don't think this is not like the teams that are good enough that can be losing games like that. Am I right?
I think the expectation was them that you're going to have a tight season, and they're not as good as the teams they've had in the past. Correct. So the mistakes have to be few and far between. They had 4 fumbles in that game, 2 of them that were lost, 2 by the running backs, 1 by the quarterback, and 1 by Jonnu Smith, the tight end. You can't have that, and you can't have a fumble on the 10-yard line when you're about to go in and win the game by one of the more trusted players on the team in Damian Harris, against a team that causes fumbles. So, like, going into the game, you knew that the Miami Dolphins go about stripping the ball, and you have to protect the ball. And the funny thing about this is this: the Thursday before the game, we were doing interviews with the players. They had them into the media workroom, and Damian Harris has a football. We were like, "How long you been carrying the football?" And he's like, "All training camp. I've been training the football just to got a grip on it and see if guys want to take away from me." And I'll age myself. If anybody saw the movie The Program, that was a thing where guys were carrying the football. So we just thought that he had been making sure he was securing the ball and it was a good thing. And then fast forward to the game, and he fumbles the ball at the 10-yard line, and when they're going in for maybe a touchdown, and it cost them the game. So I guess Ivan Fears is upset. He had 2 running backs fumble, run from Andre Stevenson, and then Damian Harris is bell cow. But let's say this: they had also 8 penalties, and 3 of them were unnecessary roughnesses. You can't have personal foul penalties and try and win games. So it's just, it's a sloppy game they had. If there's a bright spot that came through it, none of the mistakes were on the quarterback, who was a rookie. He showed poise in the pocket. He was able to throw, stare down a lot of pressure, didn't have any interceptions, and he was able to keep him in the game. So they have a bright spot, but let me tell you what, moral flowers is not what we're getting here, folks. We don't do moral flowers.
Yeah, I haven't seen Belichick lose his mind in a while, I guess. He wasn't the other day either. But I just know. There's a few things in life he can't stand. It's the media, it's us, it's fumbles, and it's penalties. And he got a good bunch of that the other day. He must have been losing his mind.
I think he just thought his team was going to play a little bit neater. I think he was happy with how they played. His defense only let up 17 points. They seemed to be slow in the beginning of each half, whether it be the first quarter and then the third quarter. Miami was able to kind of move the ball at will for those two halves. But I will say this: they're going to clean it up. It's something they have to do. They can't have penalties. They can't have, fumbles and turnovers. Remember, for the longest time, they were the ones to say to other teams, we'll wait for you to make a mistake and we'll capitalize on them. Now, come the game right out of the gate, they made 4 mistakes, and all of a sudden they're not capitalizing on anything.
They a playoff team, you think?
I have them as a playoff team still. Yeah, I think they make the playoffs, maybe even win 1 game, and I think people should be satisfied with that. I think, and again, I really feel they're going to be better as the season goes on. And that's just how I feel they're going to be. They're going to find out who they are, find out the identity, find out what plays work for everybody, and how we can, expand on those plays, and they'll be better. But I mean, it's everybody thinks it's a long season, and I agree with it, but it comes quick. I mean, every game, if you consider it to a baseball season, every game is 10 games. So you lose 1 game, you've just lost 10 games. That's just how it is, and that's how we work it.
It is bizarre. How's he with you? You've been in those press conferences where you've had to ask all these questions. I think everybody's always a little bit just, what kind of guy is Bill Belichick? Because you hear some stories about him being cool behind the scenes, but I mean, he's tough on reporters, at least outwardly. How's he been with you? Do you like you?
I mean, I don't think he likes me, but I don't think he treats me any different than he treats everybody else. You have to go in there with a thick skin and know that, that he's going to either not answer your question or make it seem like your question is irrelevant from the conversation. So, and let me tell you what, as a grown man, when you're asking another grown man a question and you're like, man, don't embarrass me up in here. I ain't coming to work for you to, kind of, poo-poo my question when I think it's a valid question. You're trying to call me dumb. So it's one of those things. Like I'm sure you've seen it. I've told you, we go to a question and I'm thinking about how I'm going to ask it, and I ask it in 12 different ways in my head. And then when it comes out, he's like, well, that's dumb. Well, you don't know how much time I prepped to get this question out, you have no idea.
Sometimes you do overthink it because he won't answer certain questions. So you have to kind of get it in a kind of a background way where he might give you a little something.
He doesn't ever want to talk about the player. So he never talks about the player. If you ask about one certain player, he says, well, we all have to be better. I'm like, I get it, but I wasn't asking about all of you. I was asking about this one dude. If I was to ask a question about 1925 football, I mean, he would go on for a half an hour, and all of a sudden the interview would be over. So you have to ask it in a matter of, like, I remember he gave me a good answer on, I was talking about the wind in a game, and I said, your special teams was able to combat the elements outside, despite all the winds. You were able to get as many field goals. And he went on and he was like, that's a good question. He's like, yeah, they practice a lot, and we trust them. And I was like, it was a weather question. It wasn't, it wasn't anything, and usually from that answer, he would have said, honestly, he would have said, we all had to deal with the wind. But he didn't that time, so he gave me an answer.
He could definitely be salty. Have you heard those stories too, though, that he's like a pretty down-to-earth, cool
I've talked to him off, when we're not there, and he's very nice. He's very down-to-earth. He's very dry. He's dry and funny. He's a nice guy. I mean, but in between the lines, when you get him at the, where he's supposed to hate you, he does a good job of making me feel I'm trespassing. He does a good job of saying, why are you on my property? So that's good.
That line is going to stick with me. That is fantastic. I don't know how often you use that, but I like that very much. What's it? You like going down there to Gillette? Good place to set up shop and work for the day?
Yeah, I do. I like it a lot. And I think just being in the environment is good. I think seeing the players and, when we were doing Zooms before, especially with players, when you're trying to get to know them, you miss the body language to see what it's like, to see what questions are. And I think part of our job also as reporters is that you're asking a question, but you're seeing how the question kind of hits them and seeing how they answer. So I like going down and seeing the players and doing that. And I like being a part of the action. I don't think, for my job in particular, I mean, some people may think it's a hassle, that something, the Patriots break the NFL internet every year. And it's going to happen. They did it this year when they let Cam go. You break the NFL internet, and you think it's a hassle. And I always feel that, well, that's part of our job. Like, you need to be in it. You need to feel it. You need to kind of let it come over you. And I enjoy that. And I don't know if it's for everybody. I get it. I mean, the Pats are a hard team to cover. And they were hard for 20 years. And now it's 2 years without Brady. And I'm not saying that it's any easier just yet. It seems like it's just as difficult. So I will say this. I know they are not the focus just yet of the NFL. I think the focus of the NFL is Tampa, Kansas City, and it's always Dallas. But sooner than later, that focus can come back to Foxborough.
Do you feel any extra pressure like that coaching staff is feeling, like, you parted ways with the guy that won another Super Bowl ring last year? It's like and you can pretty much voluntarily say goodbye to him, even though it's not,
Yeah.
it's a little more complex than that. But is there a little bit more pressure within that coaching staff to get this program running well again?
I bet you it's more opportunity. And what I say by that, is this. So suppose you let go Tom Brady, and everybody thinks Tom Brady was the one that made your job so much easier. You bring in Cam Newton. If you win with Cam Newton, say you did win with Cam Newton. Well, Cam's an all-pro. He was the first pick in the draft. He's won an MVP. He took a team through Super Bowl. So now here's your opportunity for the whole coaching staff. If you go on and win a playoff game with a rookie quarterback, that whole coaching staff is going to get jobs. Because all of a sudden, any job you get in the NFL, guess what? You're probably going to have a young quarterback. You're probably going to have a young group of guys. I mean, the one thing that this team has right now for opportunity, they flipped the roster. There's 24 new players on the roster, and the positions that they also changed, they changed kicker and quarterback. I mean, they brought in Nick Folk to back up, and then he ended up starting, but they did keep Quinn Nordine on the team. So those are the two positions that give points, that they decided that they were going to flip also. So I think the opportunity is there. I don't know if I think every coach feels pressure. Regardless of what you're doing on what sport, every coach feels pressure. It's just about grasping the opportunity and getting comfortable with the uncomfortableness, so to speak. I think that's something they all have to do.
I felt bad for Cam Newton. I was rooting like crazy for him. I loved watching him in college.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, legs weren't there at the end. I guess it's not the same that we were watching, and the arm strength may be down. I don't know. How were your dealings with him? I know it seemed like Bill seemed to actually love him too. Am I right on that?
He's such a pro. Cam is such a pro. Coaches loved him. And you're dealing with somebody who's so honest, and he's such a Pied Piper. Everybody loves Cam. And what I mean by that, there were players around the league that loved Cam. Everywhere we went, guys were like, oh, it's Cam Newton. I'll tell you a story. We were in Philadelphia for the joint practices, and a lot of the players, a lot of the high school football teams showed up for the joint practices. And all these high school kids are like, I'm going to be a football player. I'm going to be a football player. Yeah, da, da. And then Cam comes out in his pads, and they're like, that's Cam? Oh, I have no chance of playing in this league. Because Cam is 6'5", and when he comes into a room, you're like, that's Cam Newton. And he's very honest. He talks to you in a good fashion. He's the barbershop guy that you're talking to, and he's just breaking it down. And he's like, bro, let me tell you what. Let me show you how it is. And I think that he talks that way to everybody. Cam is as real a player that they've had and as a person that they've had in that office or at that position in forever. And I mean that.
I think that was that likability too, because let's face it, Tom has got to that status where he's almost just so big. He's married to the supermodel. He doesn't feel like the normal guy anymore.
But I will say this to you too. I would have loved to cover this Tom Brady that's going on in Tampa now, that's throwing trophies off a boat and doing commercials for Subway. I would have loved to cover this dude. All of a sudden, this dude's a lot of fun.
Is the Subway thing just a little joke that he has with the viewer? What is this?
I think it is, but they needed a face for Subway, because even in the whole thing, if you listen to the video, they're like, he's smelling the bread, and they're like, you don't eat bread. And I'm like, yes, he doesn't eat bread, but he's doing a commercial for Subway. So I think, the product placement is great. You have a spokesperson that everybody knows his face, and maybe you're not in the room and you don't have the TV up, and you're like, Tom Brady's eating Subway right now. So you don't know.
It is too funny. All right, final couple minutes here with Levin Reid. I want to do a couple quick hitters with you because a few other things I wanted to talk about. One is soccer kind of growing in a big way here. I know what you have to say, but seriously, it feels like it is. I
feel if the team wins and you get more eyes on the team, it starts to grow in the way you're looking for it to happen. And I think that's what's happening. They have a good team. They have a great coach. They have likable players, and they have players that everybody knows. And I think that's important.
All right. What's your favorite? You've covered a lot of these parades. You've been lucky to be in this city for a lot of championships. What's the best parade story?
In 2014, after they beat the Seattle Seahawks, they allowed me and my friend Mike Reese to go on a boat. And as they were doing the parade boat. So, you're on the boat, and I found myself, as people were waving, I found myself waving. Going, oh, yeah. And I'm like, I didn't really do much, but they're waving at me. They're like, Levin Reid. I'm like, hi. So I thought that was pretty good.
I didn't get a ring, right?
Exactly. I'm working.
Mike Reese, a diehard Springsteen fan, I do know.
Yes.
As
yes.
am I. Does he ever discuss your Christina Aguilera love?
No. But we do both talk about John Waite a lot because he's been to a John Waite concert. And I said, there was one time I was in Baltimore and he got there late. And I said, where'd you go? He said, I was at John Waite. I was like, so what? I guess my name is not John Waite because you didn't call me. I would have taken a flight with you to get here too. But he's like, well, I didn't think you would. So then I went to Hall & Oates and didn't tell him.
Beautiful. Has that rivalry continued or are we okay now?
Yeah, we're good. That's my brother from another mother. So we're good.
He is a great guy. What's up? What about when it comes to favorite venues? You've been to a mall. What's your favorite venue to go cover an event at?
It's ironically, it's very simple. I love MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. I think covering a football game there is one of the best things. It looks like a coliseum. There's no places to go. It's locked in. It gets really loud and it stays warm. And that's a big thing for me when I'm down on the field. So I think that's a great venue to cover a game in. The worst, I covered the Super Bowl in Minnesota. I thought I was going to I tried to curse on the air so I could get sent home. And in my ear, they said, I don't care what you do, Levin. You were staying there because it was like minus 100 degrees. And I was like, this is the worst situation I could possibly ever been in.
You are a man who has some weather issues. Bring me back here. Was it
yes.
Opening
day, April 1st, Mother Nature decided. And it was funny because I was outside and I could feel it coming. And Jeff was my photographer. And he goes, we both looked at each other. And I'm like, man, it is coming. And it just was like Mother Nature was like, why are you outside? and I had my scripts and I'm reading it. And they potted up in my ear so I could hear the newsroom. And I could hear people laughing as I'm rolling my scripts. And I was like, you guys think this is funny? And then the next day I had to come back and it was like a nor'easter. It was freezing. And if you want to talk about that, when Des Linden won the Boston Marathon, I was on the back of the truck. And the weather there for the whole truck when she won was a nor'easter. And I'm like, freezing, calling this winning run. And I'm like, they're like, Levin, why are we can't understand you. You seem like you're chattering. I'm like, duh, it's 2 degrees out here and I'm on a moving vehicle. That's why it seems like I'm chattering. I am.
I think the Fenway hit you did. I think it made like national news, wasn't it?
Yes, it did. It did. My umbrella turned upside down, and everybody was like, "Why did the umbrella?" I was like, "The umbrella did what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to unhinge and turn upside down if the wind is blowing it, so it doesn't break." And I'm holding on to it like for dear life, so it doesn't fly onto the field. It was awful, and I felt so bad too because the baseball team didn't play, so I did all of that. For nothing. I did all of that for nothing.
I'm going to go ahead and say you put on quite a show. I don't think it was for nothing. I enjoyed it very much. I think it was one of the first things I saw that morning, and I'm going, ooh, one, I don't think they're going to play this game today, and two, Lev's got himself in a situation.
It's so funny. It was so bad. And nothing is funnier than Nick Giovanni, the reporter. He was in an area where he wasn't getting wet, so I'm getting rained on, and he's in the area. So he's wondering what is going on. Why are they talking to me so much? It's like saying if I was okay. So he looks at the video and he goes, dude, I'm so sorry. Can I bring you some clothes? I'm like, I'm good, man. And I was so, like, when you get on TV and you're like, okay, I'm not going to curse. I'm going to go through this and I'm not going to say bad words because they're right there. They're right there. I could say some things. I'm not going to say, and everyone in the studio, like all of a sudden they had time to talk to me. Like they were like all of a sudden they were like, well, let's spend some more time with you, Levin. I'm like, isn't there some place we can go? Like, is there other issues? Is there a traffic jam on 95 or the Mass Pike? It's the morning. Can we do a little traffic right now? It's opening day. And they're like, let's go back to Levin. He's in the rain with no umbrella and getting hit by, heavy downpours that are outside, an early Ida session. Let's go to Levin.
It's a comedy
sketch. Oh, it was so bad. I had paper mache as my scripts, and everybody was like, why didn't you use your phone? I'm like, what? So I could not have a phone after this? So, I had to use the paper. And I'm like, whatever, sticking to it.
They just cut back to you, and you just got this angry face.
It was more of one of those faces where you just like this, and you're just letting it happen. You know, you just let and like I had the DMV face. Like I'd been in the DMV for way too long, and when I got to the line, they said I don't have the right forms. So
You know what else you could use? You're a pitcher, and today, Lev, we just got no bullpen. You're gonna have to take the meeting here today.
Exactly. That's all it was. It was all it was.
I'm getting rocked out here, Skip.
You know, I'm getting lit up, and they already hit the moose for steaks like 6 or 7 times. You know, so I'm feeding a family of 5 out here. What are we doing? So,
oh, Lord. Marathon coverage. Good marathon story, or you like it? You hate it?
I love the marathon. I think it's some of the best things that we get a chance to cover because it's very different, and it's just one of those things where I didn't know anything about the marathon until I started covering it, and now I've learned to know more than enough things about the marathon. Tatiana McFadden, covering her and her wheelchair races has been fantastic. Covering Des Linden and Shalene Flanagan to win, and then Mez Kefelsky, just covering him also, and all these guys to win. It's been one of the things. And one thing I did learn is I will never run the marathon. It is never going to happen, and it is like I've been at the finish line and I've seen people cross the finish line and I'm like, God bless you. Because some people look good who are professionals, but the people who are not professionals don't look good. And I've also learned this. You would rather it be freezing cold and run the marathon than hot because it is easy to get your body warm. It is almost impossible to get your body cold.
Close to home right now. My wife is doing it for the first time this year.
Oh, man. God bless her. God bless her. But the Boston Marathon, too, is one of those marathons. Like, I know when people say that with marathon, you should do the Chicago one first. Do the New York one first. That's flat. The Boston Marathon is like, run Kilimanjaro. Why not that? That's just as easy, It's just,
she
told hard.
She told me everybody talks about like Heartbreak Hill, and she's already tested that out a little bit. She goes, I can already tell, and everybody says this who's done it. Mm-hmm. It's not so much the hill itself. It's about when the hill hits in the course.
20 miles in. So they hit the 20 miles. I'll tell you a story. We had that marathon where Des Linden won, and I said to somebody, I said, well, at that 20-mile mark, it's going to be cold, and the Kenyans and the Ethiopians have to realize they have to keep their clothes on, meaning you could shed your outfit, but that's only because you're feeling hypothermia. So it's because it's still cold, so your capillaries will rush to the top of your body. So the minute they did that, all of a sudden they're freezing to death now, and the Americans kept their clothes on and won. Heartbreak Hill happens at 20. The race doesn't start until 18 to 25, and then that last mile is that last mile. But like that 18th mile where you start looking at Heartbreak Hill and get to that 20th mile where you're like, okay, I got to kind of motor through this. You can see it. I mean, you can see people just feeling the cramps coming on. You can feel people, what are they going to do? I'm amazed that you can run and some of the professional runners, they reach over and they grab their water bottles. And I'm like, what are we doing? They grab water and they're drinking and they're running. I'm like if I had to grab water and run, I'm going to stop. I'm not trying to run and drink at the same time. That seems like a catastrophe.
I'm going to pause this program before when my wife watches it, before we get to this part of the program.
Okay, yes, do not hey, good luck. She's going to do fine. She's going to be wonderful. No worries. It'll be okay.
Rapid fire real quickly here. Favorite food? We always have final minute this.
Okay, favorite food? Probably lasagna. And I don't eat it enough, only because, it's not good for you apparently, but lasagna.
Favorite musician?
Oh, it was Eddie Van Halen until he passed. I'm a huge fan of the Google Dolls, and I love Jay-Z.
All right, very good. Favorite city in the U.S.?
Chicago.
Favorite ballpark?
Ooh, it would be San Francisco. It was Petco Park or whatever it was before, but yeah. That's it. It's what it is. That's what it was. Petco, San Diego, it's San Francisco. Yes, my favorite ballpark. Yeah.
Favorite movie?
Remember the Titans.
Oh, very nice. I was actually thinking. I thought that's what you were going to say when you were talking about the fumble thing. Wasn't there a line about don't fumble my football?
Yeah, don't fumble my football. Don't put my football on the ground, Blue. Don't put my football on the ground. Now you run this football all the way through. How many in a mile? And he tells me, he's like, now you take this football, you run a mile. You're killing me. You're killing me, Petey. You're killing me.
I'm so good in that. We got a lot of high schoolers that watch this show. Best professional advice you've ever seen?
For high school,
You've
make
ever
sure
gotten, sorry, best
that
friend.
I've ever gotten,
Yeah.
be yourself. My dad told me a long time ago that he says, as long as you're true to yourself and you feel that you're going to do something, do it all the way. So if you do fail, you know that you've given your all to fail. It's okay, because it's the best thing about failing is that as long as you're giving your all, it's not a big deal.
Perfect. Good advice there. And lastly, I just this is really the last one, because I'd be remiss if I didn't carry on with this. You and I both lost somebody that we know
Yeah.
very well this year. I know it probably hits you guys extra hard on that TV side, but Jimmy Murphy, our great producer over there. I know when I was in the newsroom back in the day there, he was right to my right. He was like the closest guy for me for TV. So whenever like we really needed something for TV, I would just yell his name, and
Sure.
he would come through every single time. He cared about us. Not
Yeah.
everybody on the TV side cares about the radio side, and vice versa. Like, there's certain people that you can go to. He was a go-to guy for us, and he passed away tragically recently. And I've been thinking about him quite a bit, actually, just because he's not too much older than me. I know you do too. You were very close with him. Just Jimmy Murphy, thoughts?
He was my best friend at the station, and I was friends with him. And rarely, you know this, we don't really have friends outside of work that we work with. And we were friends outside of work. It hurt me, and it still hurts me. Like, I still pray for him that everything's going okay with him and his family. It was funny because every Friday I would go to edit my game day pieces, and it was Murph and I chose to come in at like 4 or 5:30 in the morning because Murph was such a good editor. So that was my choice, to get up at like dark 30 to edit with this guy, to become my good friend, and we became good friends. So now I'm editing with someone and I'm having a great time. But I told, when this happened, I said, I'm gonna have to start editing with somebody early. So we started doing game day maybe 3 weeks before, so I can kind of get a groove with it and kind of get over what this headache is. And I still, to this day, when I'm in the station, I walk by his seat, I kind of give blow it a kiss to make sure that he knows that I care for him. So.
Oh, that's very sweet. Yeah, I reached out to his wife, who I really don't know, but and I mentioned I work the mornings, and he always said, everybody knows you get up at crazy hours when you're working that shift.
Yeah.
He always said, it's like, that's where the cool people are. I like this group. And I always took that as he liked us. All right, very good.
Yes, definitely.
He'll be missed. I know you guys are missing him a lot here as you kick off football season, and I know certainly you are personally, but you guys do a great job over there. And we big fans of the WBZ TV team, and we miss not being in the same room with you on the radio side, of course, back in Boston. But we think you do a great job, and you, my friend, are fantastic.
Thank you so much, Drew.
My wife and I love you. We every time we see you on, you're like must-see television. We don't turn off Levin ever.
Thank you very much. And tell you what, good luck on the race. And by the way, stay in touch. I'll do this for you anytime you want. Just holler at a kid.
I felt bad about that when I called you. I'm thinking to myself, I was like, I used to call this number pretty regularly. I haven't done it in a while. It felt kind of weird. I got to make sure I keep in touch better. That's all you have to do. It's okay. We've all gone through COVID. There's different things that we have to do. So I get it. I understand totally. Pandemic has made things weird. Yeah. I'm hoping for a lot of normalcy returning on the other side of this whole thing. I'm hoping it gets normal sooner than later, but if it doesn't, I'm hoping the baby steps are just as fruitful. Very good. Levin Reid, always a pleasure, sir. Thanks, man. Thank you so much, man. Thank you. All right, Levin Reid right there, one of the good guys in the TV business, really just one of my favorites, always as good a guy behind the scenes as he comes across on the air too. And he does a great job in the air too. I hope you enjoy him as much as I do, but really good guy, as you can tell. And fun conversation there with WBZ TV's Levin Reid. Good way to start the week. Nice to see you all again in this virtual kitchen of mine. But I hope everybody's just doing good, staying safe as we continue to battle our way through the COVID thing, and hopefully the Delta settles on down in middle of September. My goodness. We'll see you next time live at Drew's house. All right. Thanks, Levin Reid. Bye-bye.